Bartholomew Town is brought to you in part by the University of Rhode Island Online, Navigant Credit Union, the Audubon Society of Rhode Island, Newport Film, and Half Street Group.
Bartholomew Town.
I'm Rand Bradbury Jr. I'm the president of the New England Music Organization and also North End Entertainment. And basically, we created this nonprofit to put out as many free concerts as we can for the people of New England, starting with Aquidneck Island, Newport, Middletown, Portsmouth, things like that. And we are just bringing, as many free concerts and educational opportunities as we can to people to remind everybody what music's all about, which is, celebrating life and art. And it doesn't have to cost $900 to go and see an amazing musical artist. You can find quality musical experiences for free by walking up to a park, or listening to a busker.
Totally. And now more than ever, it feels like we really need art and music, and specifically music for, it's not even just from the standpoint of distraction. I think a lot of people would say, well, it's great to have entertainment just to keep our minds off of the reality of the world, which is not looking that great. But it's actually, in terms of community connection and in terms of just, reminding us of why we do this thing called life. For me, of course, as an artist, I view it maybe with a little bit of bias, but it feels like music, especially community level music like what you're presenting, it's kind of the front line in combating the woes of the world right now, at least in tandem with the actual problem solving that takes place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've found a lot of people come. One of the events that we run is first and third Mondays of every month. Is called the Knee Jam at the Firehouse Theater. And basically, it's a community event for free that we put on with it. We have our members of Nemo are all amazing musicians. They're the house band, and they let the community come and join for a song that they can pick from the, a song menu, and actually play with these amazing artists on a real stage with lights and a full PA system and stream out to YouTube. And the community comes because they want to see who their neighbors are and what they can do. And also they want to show what they can do. And I mean, that might just be singing a song. You don't have to have any musical ability at all. But what we found is, in terms of building community, since it's open doors, there's no cover charge. We get people from, the homeless community. We get people that live in the shelter downtown sitting next to literal millionaires and billionaires, high school children sitting next to 90-year-old, couples. It's a complete mix of the community experiencing this art together, and they form amazing bonds. They see each other at other events and talk to them. They form bands and join other community projects that they didn't know about but heard about while at this event. So, having the two things, the positive art form and the lack of a charge to get in, also no drinking or any kind of products being sold. It's literally just a space that you come and experience. You're not getting jammed with, beer prices and things like that. And I think that kind of event is what we really need to cope with these community stresses that happen both on the local level and national level,
Completely agree. So you've got the Knee Jam. Some of the other stuff that you've been presenting it's seasonal, or it's kind of special edition type programs, inclusive of the Newport Independent Music Festival. I've been fortunate enough to perform at that a number of times. Talk about that and the Kings Park, kind of the waterfront series that take place down at the gazebo over at Kings. There's always this dispute in my mind. Is it Kings Park or King Park? Because there's King Beach or whatever it is down there off of Wellington Avenue. You've got the gazebo, and it's just a great summer series. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Sure. And the way I break down the Kings Park thing is, I believe King Park is the official name, but all the locals say Kings.
There we go. I feel local now. Nice.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I first moved back to Newport, I was born here, but I first moved back to Newport during the pandemic. And, Kevin and Gianna Sullivan ran NIMFest at that time. which was down, the King Park Music Festival every summer. And they heard I was coming. They were friends with my dad and I believe my mom as well, separately. And we're like, oh, this is sound engineers moving into town. Let's see if he can, come and work some of these events, because they were having trouble, filling the slot. So before I even had a PA around here, I was doing, mixing some of those events. 2 years later, they were retiring after doing it for 16 or 17 years. And they asked, hey, do you think, you might want to take this over? Because I had been organizing a lot of the back end by that point anyway. Said they knew that we had formed this small organization. And like, you guys want to take this over? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Immediately after that, we got the Friends of the Waterfront series. And so now we had, like 15 to 20 concerts that we were running every summer that were sponsored by the Hamilton Foundation, Isham's, and the city of Newport, which legitimized our little tiny brand new organization instantly. So for those, they're all free concerts right on this beach, right overlooking on Newport Harbor and the Newport Bridge. And it's an opportunity to bring local artists to the people of Newport for free every Sunday. And it's an excellent thing. One thing we've been trying to do since we took it over is really concentrate on original artists more because, coming back, I was in Philadelphia before coming back here, and there's a lot more opportunities for original artists, just from bar restaurants to clubs and things like that. Here, most of those were shut down from sound ordinances and, building hotels and all of that kind of thing. So you have to kind of play covers in a bar to get any exposure as an individual musician. And to me, that's terrible. Yeah. I'm not against covers, but it's just, there's got to be more ways to do it than that. That's all. Because there are a lot of artists who can't do that or aren't interested in doing that, but they might make amazing music on their own, that you should hear. So that's what we're trying to do with NIMFest is showcase, look, these are the people that we have around here and this is what they're creating. You can listen to this. You don't have to hear Brown Eyed Girl for the 5 millionth time, And don't get me wrong, I love a good cover song and when you're having a drink and you're like, oh, this, I'm not against it. I don't want to sound negative.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I'm not against it either. I just think that it's so generic. It's like when you go to an airport and you go to a cafe at an airport versus like going in, Newport to Empire or in Providence to White Electric. I mean, the difference is night and day. Mm-hmm. And you're right. And I think that in terms of building Rhode Island's identity going into the future, we have such a special thing between Providence and Newport in terms of original music. And we have so few venues that are real. I mean, there are great places, no doubt. Certainly, first and foremost, Myrtle comes to mind in East Providence, but there are many others as well that have that sort of opportunity. But it's not built into the ecosystem for the average everyday person that maybe, I don't know, watches the Red Sox and goes out to dinner. When they go out to see music in Newport, like you said, a lot of the times they're seeing covers, and covers are fine. I mean, I've done that shtick before. I would never do it again. I think I would dig ditches before I became a cover artist, just from a self-identification standpoint. But giving a platform for original music, it not only benefits the artist, but it really helps shape the community. It challenges the community. Newport already has a higher IQ when it comes to music because of the festivals. So people, you see people walking around that would maybe in another town not even know who Dawes are or something like that, just one random example from the Newport Folk Festival, or Kamasi Washington, the great saxophonist. Mm-hmm. But in Newport, regular people know and listen to this music. They have that higher IQ. So when you get these bars downtown that present Brown Eyed Girl cover songs, hootin' and hollerin', again, not to sound negative, because there is a place for that, but I don't know. I think that place kind of sucks for the most part. And Rhode Island deserves more. And luckily, there's people like you on the front lines that are challenging the audiences with new and original ideas. And that's thankless work.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The way I look at it is like the barrier for entry of something that would change your life, maybe as a child, could be this $50 ticket price, or, $200, $300 ticket price, after scalping. And when I was a kid, I didn't have to deal with that. My dad used to sneak us in to the jazz festival.
Nice.
He would, on a motorcycle, we found a spot underneath a fence where he could lay it down and pull it underneath, and we could drive through the back of Fort Adams and get there. And then later on, people would give him the money to buy the tickets for a large group, and we would go, the night before, camp out in the front of the line, rush in with blankets and throw out blankets to cover a huge area, and everybody else could come later. And, they bought our tickets in exchange for that, So it was all about this free experience. It wasn't, we didn't have the money to get these amazing seats for this amazing show. And that's what introduced me as a kid to unbelievable artists, like Herbie Hancock or whoever I got to see up front right there in front of me. And that changed my life, of course, massively. If my experience at first was, seeing a cover band at a bar or at the street fair or something, that wouldn't have changed my life.
Right.
It would have just been, oh yeah, music's a thing that happens,
Super, super well said. I couldn't agree more with that. To that end, you also have started to produce ticketed events, and those have been, I mean, I know it's kind of early in the game for you, but I guess talk about that, some of the ticketed, more formalized shows that you're presenting.
We're going full in as a concert promotion company with North End Entertainment and New England Music Organization as well. And basically, we created our first show with at the Jane Pickens Theater here in Newport, where we had Dan Burke and the Royal Treatment, Mellow Green, and Princess June, all in this show that moved from folk harmonies to soul to full-on funk. And it was an excellent experience and did very well for a freezing Thursday in February.
Yeah.
But everybody's super excited for more, and we're planning a whole lot of new ticketed events in the near future, spending a lot of time finding the right price range. Like, it's very important that we do not overcharge, but still charge enough to be able to do the next one.
Yeah.
We do not take merchandise money from an artist. If they're selling merch, they created that merch. They paid for it. They lugged it here. I'm not going to take a percentage of that. If we're selling merch together that we created together for that event, that would be a different story. But, I'm all about finding an ethical way to do it. Spending years and years working, for everyone from B.B. King to ZZ Top, we like to say, in major theaters and stuff, you see how much money is taken out by the middleman, basically. Mm-hmm. And the amount is 99%, basically. I mean, it's all of it. Once the promoters get their share and the venues get their share, there is so little left. And I mean, watching people have to stand over a merchandise count being done to make sure that you're not lying so that everybody gets their count. It's a really negative way to end a great show night. You know what I mean? So we're doing our very best to stay away from that. We absolutely believe that we can stay alive and grow on sponsorships, donations, and ticket prices and merch sales that are not ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And like you said, that keeps it sustainable from the standpoint of the audience, from the standpoint of you guys, and from the standpoint of the artists. The ecosystem has to be fertilized. There's a lot that goes into that. So kudos in that regard. What do you think right now, when you, as a person who's in the weeds, really, when you look out and see, we spend so much time thinking about post-COVID live entertainment, which is definitely, it was a huge shift, no question about it. And so many venues have closed. What do you see right now as the appetite? I mean, you mentioned the Knee Jam and having these, diverse and wide turnouts every other Monday on, at the Firehouse
First
Theater.
And third Monday.
I'm sorry, first and third Monday. But in general right now, do you think the appetite, are people ready to get back out and enjoy community and which is facilitated by live music, or are we still climbing out of COVID?
No, I think people are ready, but I think we've come into this. The COVID was so long that there is a large generation of young people, I'm going to age myself by saying that don't know how to do it. And you know what I mean? We don't have MTV anymore. TikTok videos and things like that, don't really show the culture around music, live music in particular. You kind of have to just go to your first couple of concerts and things like that to get that. And what type of concert and where really matters for those first few experiences. I would say people definitely are ready. They just don't know what to do. They think it's going to be crazy expensive. And we all got a lot more used to being comfortable, myself included. Standing in a giant crowd in a festival for 18 hours or whatever in the sun is not something a lot of people want to do anymore.
Right.
So I think we're moving away from the mega festival model that's hyper, marketed, and going to the smaller individual concert mode, theaters, things like that. We're going to start to build that size venue again, I think, because it's easier to ensure. You can actually sell a higher percentage of your merchandise and food and drink items in if the size is big enough where people can sit down and drink comfortably. There's a right number. I personally think it's between 1,000 and 3,000 seats. Mm-hmm. I think that if we have more venues like that spread out all throughout the country, we now have these. Basically, they would replace churches. They become the place where we can have the community meetings, large community meetings, weddings, other kinds of community building events, because they can seat that community just enough. Also, if there's a major disaster, it's a place where everybody can go, either to donate or to shelter in place or whatever that may be, blood drives, things like that. So I think we need more of that kind of venue. We destroyed a lot of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have for sure. Yeah. So really well said. Kind of lastly here, you're also doing a lot of work on the back end in terms of production with Garage Mahal, your studio and YouTube videos of, as you'd mentioned, streams or now recordings of the Knee Jam and things like that. So how is that for you? And it plays into building your identity, building Newport's identity, and building Rhode Island's identity on the digital side, kind of balancing the live event piece with the digital presentation that is what I would call not digital first. In other words, you guys and what you've staked your claim in the live event space, in the original music space primarily, and then you've translated that to this online version. That's different than the artist that is in their bedroom that makes TikTok videos and then out of, maybe they play a show here and there, or the presenter that looks at things digital first. So talk about that kind of balancing the different orbits, the real world and the digital world, which we're becoming cyborgs and it's becoming one thing anyway. But it's interesting.
On a North End Entertainment YouTube page, that's where we host all these videos and streams and things. We started a new project called the Garage Mahal Sessions, and the Garage Mahal is a space that my dad and his wife own, where I have a large, really beautiful rehearsal recording studio above a garage, and it's a big garage. It's a big, awesome wood space. Very, very good sound. Overlooks the water slightly if you look up high enough through the windows. Right. Great sunsets, but lots of plants. Excellent vibe. We're still trying to do a live feel in there, so it's kind of like Tiny Desky, I guess you could say. But it's still the full band playing together with multiple cameras in one space. And so you see that connection, you feel that connection between them, even though it is a recorded video session, And then we started North End Entertainment, Records, which is our record label, which we have songs out by Dan Burke and the Royal Treatment right now. Definitely look those up. My Pleasure. If you want to just grab one, we got another one coming out in about a month. But those songs were all done remotely, like a COVID recording. Every artist recorded each individual part and fed them to Dan. He finalized the recordings on his end, and then I mixed and mastered it all, producing it along the way. And that's the new way to make albums. And so what we're trying to find with this record label is how can we make a label that works in the modern world, where everybody has $1,000 worth of recording equipment in their bedrooms now, and they can make high quality recordings. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars an hour at a studio anymore and paying a producer and a label all of your residuals. You can actually do this. So we're trying to figure out a way to connect individual songwriters and band leaders with this technology, and we run a label that helps them do that. And a big part of that is that it's a label in terms of name only. Really, it's a partnership. We work together, like, what do you want us to do? What are you going to do? Okay, here's the split based on that.
Yeah.
No money up front, no cost to you in the back end. We're just going to split the proceeds together based on what we're doing as a team.
Yeah.
And that's the model that we're working on that we think that can work for other people as well.
Yeah, it's super cool. What's the best way for people to follow what you're doing on social media or on a website or anything like that? What's your call to action, so to speak?
Sure. Go to Instagram at North End Entertainment. Go to YouTube at North End Entertainment. Go online to our website for the New England Music Organization, which is newenglandmusic.org. And come see us at the Firehouse Theater. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ren, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks for stopping by Bartholomew Town. For more content, follow me on Instagram at Bill Bartholomew.